Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning into the vault. This is episode 334, TPD, third party designee. I always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is something that we definitely wanted to do. We've obviously had a. You say that these episodes are for our trustees and our trustee training program that are dealing with people that are engaged, that are out here in the trenches, as they say. So we definitely want to do an episode for our trustees talking about the third party designee and even people that are looking to enroll. A lot of times you'll see a lot of people that are coming from the enrollee perspective. Uh, but we want to talk about it's not just an enrollee, it's that are you an employee or are you an entrepreneur investor? Because when it comes down to third party designee, we're talking about a specific party that even almost possibly sets up the company when we talk about it in business. So, Vote always appreciates everybody that tunes in live, listen to replay, going over the details with our trustees about third party designee mentality because there is a mentality to this particular position when you see that are you looking to be the trustee or are you looking to hand off that responsibility to somebody else? And so when we talk about that, moving through the trenches, moving through business and engagements with people, we're talking about now are you looking to have a third party administrator or even a third party designee? Because it's very important to know that a third party designee is somebody that is doing business on behalf of. But I thought that was the trustee, trust Christian in the vault. Well, it is. But we're talking about now, even still, a third party designee. This is somebody that specifically is designated from the original to a third party in a contract to do some work. See, this is where your contract skills come in. Reading contracts, very, very important skills. So we're talking to trustees that are enrolled in the program, that are planning to enroll in the program, even trustees that we deal with. We always like to deal with trustees that are focused on having a high level of competence in reading contracts. Even when we talk about case law, we relish in the opportunity to be able to read and comprehend case law when it comes to things that pertain to our skill set, especially when it comes to protecting our skill set, not just knowing our skill set. And so it's just very important to have additional help. So when we talk about even having a first, second, and third opinion, a third party designee adds to the third party opinion in other situations. And so it adds what's called a quorum, which is giving, outside influence to show that there's adverse partyship. These are the things that we see. These are the things that we've dealt with when it comes to third party designees. Some people like to call these people nominees. Sometimes you'll hear people say, "Oh, this person's elected to do X, Y, and Z for and on behalf of this entity." That's what they say. Oh, we have this lawyer standing in here speaking on behalf of this person today in representation of this company. Because remember, a lawyer is a third party. This is why we tell our trustees to read a case law. Someone came in this past week about a Trinzy case. We're going to point it out for you, trustee, because if you're listening, now you know. That case points out third party designeeship. Well, some people know how to own nothing, control everything. Some people know how to put nominees in place for specific situations. Third party designee. These are people that, well, some people would consider registered agents sometimes. They're independent, they're separate from the company, they're outside the company, they're third party designees. Once again, sometimes people call them nominees, for different positions. People say, where would I go to get these people? Where would I go to get these people? Well, if you have these people, we know you don't have to worry about that. But when we talk about third party designees, that nowadays you can literally just Google them. Usually, when you're going through and dealing with corporations, they ask you, do you have a registered agent? Do you have a third party designee? They ask you these questions when you're moving through these forms out here looking to do business. Now, are you the third party designee? Most people say, well, yeah, I know I'm not the third party designee. I'm the first trustee. I'm the first person. You're the founder of the company. You're the owner of the company. Some people say, well, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to own it. So I'm going to open up the business in a certain state. So we hear people talk about these different states, these so-called tax haven states in the states where they give third-party designee information more than they give ownership or any of that information. Oh, these are the best states to do it in right here. Then you don't have to be looked at as the owner. You have a third-party designee or a registered agent stand in place of you. And then whose entity are they representing then? You, or are they representing the business? Third party designees are almost like lawyers. Not only could they be a nominee, they could be a lawyer. They could be somebody that, once again, stands and speaks on behalf of. But they're not the original party. So since we're talking about the original party and the third party designee, those are two different people. So you can't play both of those roles. Trustees. And this is why, we've worked with the vault for so long, because so many people said, yo, if you don't have the money, you can't do it. If you don't have the money, you can't do it. That's what was said for such a long time. And in all actuality, it's not about the money. It's about your mindset, because you have to be able to grow from ground zero. And so many people are advantaged when they don't have to grow from ground zero. But if you have to grow from ground zero, moving from a ground zero position puts a person in advantage, because they understand truly what it means to go from zero to hero, and they'll never forget it. They understand the hard work, they understand the mental thought that was required. Where someone that was given more of an additional leg up, hut, through OPM and other things, then it changes the person's mindset or how they delegate out wealth. Because if someone had to go in and work to get it positionally first, and then someone else, has just birthed in the position, it's different. Someone birthed in a position, it changes the dynamic of how they're looking at the wealth. Third party designees have no obligation, no specific ties to the wealth, to the money. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. We have our workshop coming up here in October. Look forward to seeing people at the workshop. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Coming out to the workshop. Once again, that's September 25th. Feel free to reach out. But usually, most of the workshops are for the trustees. So, most of the trustees that are enrolled in the program usually want to connect with senior trustees. And that's the benefit of it. It's people connecting with other third party designees now, other trustees, because there's no conflict of interest. So when you're a third party designee, there's no conflict of interest, because the only reason they're involved is because there's a contract in place. Appreciate Cali for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate California for tuning in live, listening to replay. Because third party designees are who people think the vault may possibly be. And we want to share with you all in this particular episode that the vault's not a third party designee. We train trustees to be trustees, and working with them through their continuing education. Trustees that come through from more than first gen or second gen wealth. We deal with more than first and second gen wealth in trusteeship. And then when you talk about doing that in charity, that's how wealth is passed along. So it's interesting that the environment is very, very small, where yes, you have to be able to work with people from multiple generations and see that there are benefits to having these people in your network in a third party designee position. Finding a successor trustee that may be outside of the family currently or the business currently may be a great third party designee. So we just want to share this with the trustees. We know that a bunch of trustees always ask these questions about the third party designee, but we look forward to sharing this with trustees in the future or people that are potentials because they're listening to this and saying, hey, we want to move forward with the vault, whether it's through consultation or through a workshop. So you guys can feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. So once again, we have the training program so trustees know that third party designees are definitely outside of trusteeship, outside of the trust. They are people that usually get, work for hires. It could be contractors. A lot of trustees, the ones that are in real estate, they have contractors or, GPs or LPs that they deal with. And so they have third party designees for capital and things like that that's being invested. So um, definitely wanted to do this episode because so many people think that this is going to be a hands-on approach, and it is hands-on. It's hands-on for the trustees, being trustees, not trustees handing over the responsibility to a third-party designee, and then now you think, oh wow, I'm gonna get a nominee in place. I'm gonna get this person in place. I'm gonna get that person in place. You are the trustee. You're the senior. You're making the final decisions with the board, the first trustees. How is it that people that don't make $250,000 a year are trying to delegate out this responsibility when they don't even know what it takes to get $250,000 a year? So, because of that reason, outsourcing doesn't make sense. Third party designee doesn't make sense when you're talking about building wealth or acquiring a certain amount of funds in a short period of time. But people, these numbers might be a feat for them. $250,000 might be a feat for them. And because of that reason, we can see what's going on now. People want to delegate out the responsibility, or they want to be made aware of what is the responsibility that they're trying to delegate out through a third party designee, or what is that third party designee position that we never talk about because it's irrelevant. You're a trustee. You're not a third party designee. You're a trustee. You're a first trustee, not a third party designee. You're a first trustee. There's a difference. And so that's what we talk about in the training program because it's just so imperative to go over the basics, the fundamentals of knowing, who are these people when we're dealing with them? Are these people available? Where are they at? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Where, well, obviously we say where are they located at because these are people that may come in handy at periods of time when we talk about designating, someone in specific to do specific things. And, from time to time, this is how business gets done, ladies and gentlemen. Surprisingly, when you talk about it in the private sector, is the work being delegated out. But obviously, it has to be proper vetting. When you talk about vetting, and you have to be willing to be a volunteer for third-party designees if it comes up because in so many environments, people always want third parties to do things for them. That's traditionally how you own, not to control everything. So when we talk about trusteeship, we're talking about understanding first trusteeship, not third party. And as you move forward, you'll grasp this more and more in the trustee training program. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. We're going to be having a workshop on September 25th. Yes, September 25th. Look forward to seeing you all there. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.